Life has a strange way of teaching us lessons. Sometimes it teaches through love and sometimes through loss. But the most painful lesson is when you realize that the person you gave your heart to never valued it. You held on, you waited, you forgave, you endured. And in return, you were taken for granted. But today I want to tell you something. Losing you was never your loss. It was his. Your worth is not something that should ever be questioned, bargained for, or diminished based on someone else's inability to see it. Too often we give and give, hoping that love, kindness, and loyalty will be enough for someone to finally recognize what we bring into their life. We wait for validation, for appreciation, for the smallest signs that we matter. But the truth is, if someone does not value you from the beginning, no amount of proving, convincing, or waiting will change that. And that is where your power lies. Not in forcing someone to see your worth, but in knowing it yourself. There is a heartbreaking moment in life when you realize that the love you have been giving so freely has not been reciprocated in the way you deserve. You start questioning yourself. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Should I have tried harder? But let me tell you this, your worth is not measured by how much you endure in someone's life. It is not defined by how much pain you can take before they finally see you. You are not someone's backup plan, their second choice, or a convenience that they can turn to only when they need you. Real love, real appreciation, real respect. These things do not need to be begged for. They flow naturally between two people who recognize each other's value. The moment you find yourself waiting for someone to choose you, to love you the way you love them, is the moment you need to step back and remind yourself of who you are. You are not just a person in someone's life. You are a force, a presence, a light that should never be dimmed to make someone else comfortable. When you start embracing your worth, everything changes. You stop seeking love in places where it is not freely given. You stop chasing people who make you feel like you have to earn their affection. Instead, you walk away with grace, with dignity, with the unshakable confidence that you are enough just as you are. And in that moment, the person who failed to see your value will feel the weight of losing you, not because of anything you say or do, but because they will realize too late that you were a once-in-a-lifetime presence in their life. People often only recognize someone's worth after they are gone, but you do not need to wait for that moment. Know it now, believe it now, carry it with you every day, because the moment you do, you stop being afraid of losing people. You start realizing that anyone who cannot see your value was never meant to stay. And when you walk away with that truth in your heart, you do not just leave behind someone who took you for granted. You step into a future where you are truly valued, truly seen, and truly loved. Not by someone else, but by yourself first. The deepest pain is not caused by words spoken in anger or by the fights that leave scars. It is caused by absence, by silence, by the realization that something once taken for granted is no longer there. When you remove yourself from someone's life, when you stop explaining, stop justifying, stop fighting to be heard, that is when they truly begin to feel the weight of losing you. Absence creates a void that cannot be filled with distractions, because real connections are not easily replaced. At first, they may not notice. They may assume you will always be there, waiting, as you have always been. They might think that time will soften your heart, that you will eventually return, as you always have. But as the days pass, as the weeks turn into months, something shifts. They begin to look for you in the moments they once ignored. They search for your name in notifications, expecting a message that never comes. They replay old conversations in their mind, only to realize that they no longer have access to your thoughts, your presence, your love. It is in the quiet that reality sinks in. The warmth of your presence is replaced by the cold reality of what it means to lose someone who truly cared. The simple things they once dismissed, a text in the morning, a call to check in, a comforting word after a long day, become the things they miss the most. They start to see how much space you occupied in their life, how much love you poured into them without hesitation, without condition. And they realize that they never truly appreciated it. But by then, it is too late, because you have already walked away, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in quiet acceptance that you deserve more than being an afterthought. You have chosen yourself, and in doing so, you have taken away the one thing they never imagined losing, you. And that loss is not one that can be undone with an apology or a grand gesture. It is a loss that lingers, one that follows them in moments of solitude, one that reminds them that they had something precious and let it slip away. People always assume that loss is felt in loud, dramatic moments, in the shattering of words and the breaking of hearts. But the deepest loss is felt in the spaces where you used to be. It is in the things they can no longer share with you, the memories they cannot relive, the laughter that is now only an echo in their mind. It is in realizing that you were not just someone in their life, you were a presence, a light, a force they will never quite find again. And in the end, they will understand that losing you was not just losing a person. It was losing a love that was rare, a connection that was irreplaceable. But by then, you will have already moved forward, unshaken, knowing that your absence speaks louder than any words ever could. The greatest form of strength is not found in anger, not in revenge, and not in proving a point. It is found in growth. It is in becoming a version of yourself that is stronger, happier, and completely independent of the person who once made you feel small. When someone takes you for granted, when they fail to see your worth, the most powerful thing you can do is not to seek revenge, not to beg for their attention, but to rise above it all. Your success, your happiness, your ability to move forward, that is the real victory. At first, they might not notice. They may think that you are still caught in the pain of their absence, that you are still waiting, still hoping, still wishing they would return. But as time goes on, as they see you standing tall, laughing again, glowing with a new kind of confidence, that is when it hits them. Not in the moment you walked away, but in the moment they realize you are better without them. That you are not just surviving, you are thriving. There is something powerful about rediscovering yourself after heartbreak. You start to see the world differently, through eyes no longer clouded by the need for validation from someone who never truly saw you. You learn to find joy in the little things, in your own company, in the freedom of making choices that are for you and you alone. You start chasing dreams that were once buried beneath the weight of a relationship that no longer served you. And with every step you take forward, you are proving, not to them, but to yourself, that you never needed their approval to shine. Growth is not just about success in the external world. It is about the internal shift that happens when you stop looking back. When your heart no longer aches at the thought of them, when their name no longer stings, when you realize that what you once feared losing was never truly meant for you, that is the moment of true empowerment. And the irony, that is the moment they start to miss you. When they see that you are no longer stuck in the past, when they hear about your achievements, when they watch from a distance as you build a life that does not include them, that is when they feel the regret. But by then, it is no longer about them, it is about you, because your journey has led you to a place where their absence no longer matters. Your best revenge is not proving them wrong. It is proving to yourself that you were always enough, that you were always capable of happiness beyond them. So grow, evolve, become someone you are proud of. Because in the end, the most powerful statement you can make is not in words, not in confrontation, but in simply becoming the best version of yourself, a version that no longer looks back. Losing you was never your loss, it was his. Too often we believe that when someone walks away, we are the ones left with emptiness, with questions, with pain. But the truth is, the person who failed to see your worth is the one who truly lost something priceless. You gave love, loyalty, patience, and understanding, all without conditions. You stood by, you forgave, you tried, and yet you were not valued the way you deserved. But here is what you must understand. When someone does not recognize your worth, it does not mean you are not worthy. It means they were never capable of seeing the depth of what they had. People often do not appreciate what is constant, what is reliable, what is given with an open heart. They assume it will always be there. They assume that no matter how much they neglect it, ignore it, or take it for granted, it will remain unchanged. And so they do not realize the value of what they have until it is gone. The moment you stop being available, stop answering every call, stop chasing, stop waiting, that is when reality sets in. At first, they may believe that losing you does not matter. They may think they can replace you, that they can fill the space you once occupied with distractions or temporary people. But then something happens. They start to feel the absence, not just in big moments, but in the little ones. The moments where they once had your support, your laughter, your presence. The realization does not come all at once. It comes in waves, in the silence where your voice used to be, in the spaces where your love once existed. And that is when they truly understand. But by then you have already moved forward. You have chosen yourself, chosen to embrace the love and care you once gave so freely and redirect it back to where it truly belongs, toward yourself. You are no longer looking for their validation, no longer waiting for them to realize what they lost. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You were never the one who lost. You were the one who loved deeply, who gave without hesitation, who stood strong even when you were not appreciated. That is not weakness, that is strength. And that is why, in the end, the pain of losing you will not be something they can ignore. It will not be something they can simply forget. Because you were rare, and rare things are never easily replaced. They may try to find you in others, may try to relive what they had, but nothing will ever quite compare. Because you are not just someone in their life. You are a presence, a light, a love they will never find again. And that will be their regret to carry, not yours. Because while they will live with the pain of losing you, you will live with the freedom of finally choosing yourself. Walking away is not a sign of weakness. It is not an act of bitterness or an attempt to seek revenge. It is an act of self-respect. When someone fails to see your worth, when they take your love for granted, the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away with grace. No anger, no resentment, just the quiet strength of someone who knows they deserve better. And in that silence, in that absence, they will feel the weight of losing you in a way they never expected. You do not need to raise your voice or explain your worth to someone who refused to see it when you were right in front of them. Some lessons in life are not taught through words, but through experiences, and losing you will be one of them. When you stop waiting, when you stop giving endless chances, when you finally choose yourself, that is when the reality of their loss begins to set in. It won't happen instantly. At first, they might believe they can move on without a second thought. They may convince themselves that your absence won't affect them, but time has a way of revealing the truth. One day, they will look for you, maybe in a familiar song, maybe in a place you once visited together, or maybe in a moment of quiet loneliness. They will reach for their phone, expecting to see a message from you, only to realize that the silence is permanent. They will search for the comfort of your presence, the warmth of your voice, the reassurance of your love, only to find that you are no longer there. And that is when they will understand what they lost. But by then you will have already moved forward. You will have learned to find joy within yourself, to embrace the beauty of your own presence, to love yourself the way they never did. You will have discovered that the closure you were waiting for did not come from them. It came from realizing that you never needed them to be whole. You were always enough. And that is why walking away with grace is so powerful, because you do not need to prove anything. Your happiness, your growth, your ability to live a beautiful life without them, that is the only proof you need. Let them wonder, let them regret, let them come to terms with what they lost, but do not look back. Do not wait for them to see what should have been obvious from the start. Your worth does not decrease because someone failed to appreciate it. Your love does not lose its value because someone did not know how to receive it. And your life does not pause because someone chose to walk away. You are still here, still shining, still growing, and that is the greatest response you could ever give. Not words, not anger, not revenge, just the undeniable power of a person who has finally chosen themselves.